Hello, everyone, and welcome to Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk. And I am your co-host, Andy Kretzinger.
Yep.
We got Hunter Muller here, rocking the Carhartt hat. And some people would think that I should wear a hat.
Why is that?
Well, my hair's not that long. That joke, that reference doesn't land. My mom doesn't like my long hair, or my wife. Nick Steffens on the ones and twos, and we're here every Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
Yep.
I'm talking high school sports, little college sports, and whatever else. So we are here, and this is kind of our winter wrap-up extravaganza, unfortunately, because we've had a few basketball teams lose the last few days, which is we are knocked out of winter sports. By the way, we're on Mount Pleasant Live, Washington Live, and Facebook Live. Facebook Live? Fairfield Live, Facebook, and Washington Live YouTube, and also Spotify. But we're going to start today with the most recent high school team to get eliminated. Our last, our last bastion of high school winter sports was the New London boys. You made the trip, the morning trip. What time did you leave?
About 7:15, 7:20.
Not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad.
To get over there playing Grandview Christian. They were big underdogs, and they almost pulled it off. Can you talk about the game a little bit?
Yeah, as you mentioned, the final score in this one was Grandview Christian, who's the number one seed, number one ranked team through 1A all season long. 61, and then New London coming in, obviously, at 19 and 6 coming into this one. The eighth seed, the last seed in the tournament. They fall in this one short, 61-51. But what a great showing by the Tigers. Obviously the talk of the week was, a lot of people said they weren't even going to be able to match. Grandview Christian was outscoring opponents by about 30, I believe it was 32 points a game. During the game to go to state, they beat ACGC 106 to 60 something or 70 something.
Those games are always close.
Mm-hmm. And the Tigers came to play. It was right out the gate. New London jumped out to a 12-6 lead. A little run at the end of the first quarter there, cut it to 2 at the end of the first quarter. But New London led 12-10 after one, and that's the first time all season that Grandview Christian has trailed after the first quarter. In the second it was kind of more in the same. Both teams were neck and neck. New London kind of led for the most part to the final couple minutes there. Another little Grandview Christian run gave them the edge heading into halftime, just 25-22. Once again, one of the closest margins at any half against the Thunder all season long. Throughout the third quarter, it was still tight-knit until about not the I guess the beginning of the third quarter. I guess what I should say is a run from what kind of made the difference in this game was a run at that run that I mentioned where they kind of gained some momentum in the second there. 8 minutes between the end of the second and into the third quarter, an 8-minute span. So spanning from the end of the second into the beginning of the third quarter, Grandview Christian went on an 18-2 run. I believe they led as much as 12 or 13 in that span. But New London never gave up. I mean, at the end of the third quarter, it was 50-37. So Grandview was kind of looking to pull away there, but New London stayed poised. And obviously, if we haven't even mentioned yet, New London definitely had this disadvantage of the size. In size in this one, Grandview Christian, obviously 7-footer, 6'9" kid, 6'5", and obviously Cade Benjamin, 6'6" for New London as their tallest player. So, it was a tough matchup, but New London, like as I mentioned, New London never gave up in the third quarter. Into the fourth, Grandview had held about a 10-point lead until about the final minute. It was 56-45 with a minute 22 to go. New London came down court. Blaze Porter drilled a 3 on the right side of the key.
Deep 3.
Double clutched 3. At the other end, New London fouled, sent him to the line. They missed the 1-and-1. Came down. Porter pulled up from about NBA range. Drilled it again. Brought the Tigers to within 5. 56-51. 55 seconds left. But the Thunder were able to close it out the line. Went 5 for 6 to end it. So, great heart, great fight shown by the Tigers, and obviously coming in the closest games that Grandview had played was I think 4A Des Moines Christian, who is a state team, and that was a 7-point game, and then Appleton Parksburg, who was number 2 in 2A for much of the season, but got upset in the game to go to state, and that was a 9-point game. So Tigers third closest game given Grandview Christian there. Blaze Porter ends his career with 15-point outing. Cade Benjamin 14. Brendan Ritchie ended with 9. Ryland Martin had 7, and Leo Gebauer had a 6. So
all the starters.
Yeah, but for people, a bunch of people have this marked as a 32 point loss for the Tigers, and needless to say, I think they proved some haters wrong and showed just what they're made of and showed that they can play with the best.
I thought when Blaze hit that NBA 3, and they pressed, I thought maybe if Grandview could have thrown the ball away or something like that, that felt like a moment where or missed a couple of free throws.
Like if
they were in it, they were right there. I mean, it looked like New London had a little momentum, and it's tough. They'd be playing in tonight, wouldn't they?
Yeah. And West Harrison's, who Grandview Christian's going to play in this next round, and obviously they really put it to Dunkerton. But it felt like in that moment, it felt like every shot was going to drop for them coming down court. It was like, they're going to make this real close in the end here. And
speaking of every shot dropping, that's a team where Grandview's so big. I watched this game online.
Yep.
Grandview's so big down low that it felt like whenever they hit an outside shot, it was just like, of course they're gonna make. If they could just be a little colder from the outside,
Well, you know what? What kind of killed him in some moments was like Benjamin with his leaping ability obviously won a high jump state champion. With his leaping ability, he was kind of able to match up with. He made up the difference for the height with the 7-footer, but Leo Gebauer, who's 6'1", probably next tallest guy. Out of the starting 5, had to match up with the 6'9" kid a lot of the times. And a lot of times, they would shoot a 3 and the ball would, bounce along off the rim to the opposite side, and that kid can just stand there and grab it over
that
him.
Happened a lot.
It's almost like even if he does box him out, the ball's just already up high for him to grab, and that happened a couple times. And, Coach Porter kind of said that. He's like, we got hurt by the 6'9" kid more than, like, I thought we would.
I agree.
But overall, I feel like they executed their game plan. One thing Coach Porter said is he wished he would have pressured them a little more, because if in the end of the game, really, they kind of had struggled with the pressure there.
They did
in that final kind of minute when they finally put it on them. But
yeah. Well, it was the same logic as we'll talk about the girls in a second, but the Bishop Garrigan girls have Audie Crooks, so they have somebody who just dominates inside, and so teams will just press them, being like, we might as well just give your best player an open look, or your dominant post player an open look inside. By trying to get steals, because they're going to score anyway. Although I thought they did a really good. I thought New London did a good job defensively in general, but especially on the end, it was just like as you said, that little run is when they had some easy ones. They had some putback dunks and stuff like that. So, but I thought New London showed that they were better than an 8 seed.
Right.
I was talking to Chad Wallace, who's the superintendent, also the assistant coach. We were talking at the girls tournament. He was there for representing the association. And I was like, talent-wise, New London has more talent than a normal 8 seed. Normally, the 1A 8 seed, kind of gets. Not last year, they had a pretty close game with Grandview, but they usually get kind of rolled over because it's a team that, happy to be there, had a close game in the regional final, and just they're kind of, as I said, they're happy to be there, and they don't have that kind of umph. And New London had enough talent to compete with anybody, so I think they showed that.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah. Anyway. Before you made your journey to Wells Fargo Arena, I made my journey, and the Winfield Mount Union girls are making their first trip to Wells Fargo since, ever, because it used to be Vets Auditorium back when Winfield was running things. And the girls' Class 1A tournament, they went and played against North Lynn, who was a very interesting matchup for them because North Lynn was smaller. They press a lot. They had hit over 200 threes going in. And with Northland 68-36 over Winfield in that game. That was not indicative. I think that's the word I'm looking for, of the actual game, because it was a pretty close game. 14-12 after one quarter. Winfield actually started up. They were up 10-6, I believe.
I was watching him.
Winfield did have the size advantage inside, and I didn't exactly know how much success they would have against Northland, even having that size advantage. But it was like, boom, Melina Epping came up, layup, boom. Brady Buffington layup, boom. It was like, they're getting some stuff right here. And they jumped out to a 10-6 lead, and Northland missed their first couple of threes. But Northland has such a good press. They press, and then once you get across half court, they trap. It's almost like a chaos. In fact, they have a unit they call the Chaos Unit, which is their second unit, where it's almost like there's just people running around. It almost doesn't. Sometimes their press didn't make sense, but it was like Winfield was getting ready to set something up, and a girl would just run out of nowhere and poke it away. So Northland was able to take a 33-21 halftime lead. 42-29 at the end of the third quarter. Winfield actually got within single digits, I believe, in the end of the third quarter, and then Northland hit a couple. And then in the fourth quarter, it just kind of spiraled a little bit. And I think it even spiraled even more when the starters had left. But Winfield played with them pretty good, especially that day. There were a lot of blowouts. And even though it was a 30-point game, this is at least interesting through three quarters in a lot of games. Where Melina Epping, 18 points. Brady Buffington, 10 rebounds. Both of them were pretty close to a double-double. I should have had their rebound statistics up here.
Melina Epping had 10. So she did have a double-double. And then Brady Buffington had 9.
Yep. Block and 2 steals. By the way, Brady Buffington was a first-team All-Stater for Class 1A. We had three Class 1A first All-State selections. Brady got first team for Winfield. Waco's Ella Kissel and Highlands Sarah Burton were second team for Class 1A, and then Andrea Loprato third team for Class 4A for Mount Pleasant. So we had a lot of. Actually, I'm surprised that Winfield didn't have one more, but they're pretty balanced.
Yeah.
So I said, let's see, Epping 18 and 10, Buffington 10 and 9. Keaton Townsley had 4. Josie Nelson had 2. So that was a game that Madison Kellogg had 2, by the way, a freshman for them. It was a game that I thought they kind of showed that why they were a state team, because they were able to fight with there was a big gap, in my opinion, between the top 3 or 4 teams and everybody else. They fought with them for a while, but Northland was the ideal team that you would build to try and beat Winfield, because they were small. Everyone could shoot threes. It was like they had so many girls running in and out. Winfield wasn't too deep as far as girls they play in, so it was a tough team. I actually thought that Northland, if they could have got past Newell Fonda, which they didn't, they kind of fell apart in the fourth quarter in the semifinals. I thought they would have been a good matchup for Audie Crooks and Bishop Garrigan. But
yeah, and I feel like the difference in that game, was like they kind of, Winfield was able to kind of slow down the pace in the first quarter there, and kind of get them out of their game, because they were playing more up tempo, and then you kind of saw that switch in the second where they started hitting their threes.
Yeah,
and then they created, I think it was, it's took here 19 steals total off the press, and it just kind of switched, and then obviously it was close in the third, but then they ended with that huge quarter. But it felt like Winfield did a great job at just playing their game, and then they kind of got into the Lynx's game in the second quarter, into the rest of the final 2 quarters there.
Yeah, totally. Once they got into the half court set and they were running stuff, Winfield probably had more points than Northland off of that. Mm-hmm. But it was just so tough, and Northland's so quick. Winfield's a team that they play with two true posts, and in fact,
right.
Keely Malone used to kind of be she's kind of a guard forward a little bit too. So they're a tall team. They're a team that likes to pound it inside. They really don't have a lot of burners up and down. Keaton Townsley is a point guard, and but once once Northland stole the ball and they had people dashing down court, it was like, how are you guys going to stop these guys from getting the layup? Because they've got 3 or 4 kids that are speeding down. So I really thought Northland could win it. When I saw them play, I was like, how can anybody beat this team? And then, of course, Newell Fonda did, and then Bishop Garrigan beat them. But, so that was a senior class for Winfield, their entire starting 5, which is Epping, Buffington, Townsley, Malone, and Anna Anderson. Mm-hmm. They are gone. So
we're losing a lot of good seniors.
They lose a lot. I will say that, and Josie Nelson, a sophomore, she's the only player that really consistently played big minutes for them and sometimes started besides those top 5. I will say that they wouldn't have been at state if it wasn't for her, because she was definitely brought like a different kind of. She was like a scrapper.
Yeah,
she could sub in for all 5 of them.
Yeah,
and so she definitely brought a lot. It's just that now she'd have to basically take on a lot of the scoring, and so there's still some talent going through there, but that'll be a rebuilding moment. But that was the first time they'd made it since 1998 when Mindy McCrate was a freshman in high school, and now she's the coach. 25 years later, and so it was a cool little experience. I had fun, and they played the night game, so it felt like, I don't know, it just kind of felt like it was only Winfield and Northland fans at that point. There weren't people waiting on, so. Hanging out the good.
We kind of got both sides of it. I was the first game where it was like, everybody from every team was there. I saw some Waco kids there. So good experience.
Yeah, good experience. Shout out to Jacob Haynes. He won the Girls Athletic Association or Union. They bring the fun to the tournament, and so So they had a barbecue wing eating contest, and they had like all this fun stuff. It was almost like you're at an NBA game where they have all the fun stuff on the video board. In fact, all the teams did these little videos that were like introductory videos to show who they were. And so Winfield's Winfield had the better of the two introductory videos. They had Keely Millen popped out of a trash can. Maybe we get the video from them. Yeah, because they had all 5 of them were just kind of introducing, and they'd be like, "Hey, I'm Keaton Townsley, and did you know that Winfield Union hasn't been to the state tournament since blah blah blah?" It was like a "Did you know" thing. And so each girl would come out of a different area in the gym, and Keely Millen was just sitting in the trash can. It was pretty funny. So it was fun, despite it all. But that's the end of high school basketball season.
Yeah,
and the end of the first segment of Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk for March 8th. I gotta say, guys, I didn't eat lunch today because I was late on my stuff today. And I was just watching our show on the screen over here while I was doing it. And then there was an ad for Uncle Neff's that came up, and they had a picture of a steak, and now I'm kind of distracted. So,
you're hungry now.
Yeah,
so you need this commercial.
Yeah, I need this commercial to run to Uncle Neff's and get a steak. We will be back in 2 minutes, so stick with us.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Hospice isn't a place, it's a type of care that focuses on living. Servicing a 7-county area, the Hospice of Washington County staff of nurses, social work, hospice aides, spiritual and grief support, volunteers, music and massage therapists are able to provide free end-of-life care where the patient lives. We write wills, give consent for organ donation, but rarely is there a plan for what we would want the final phase of our lives. At Hospice of Washington County, we encourage our patients to be in charge of their healthcare decisions while maintaining quality of life.
At the Capper Auto Group, we put our customers' needs first and understand that everyone is as different as the vehicle they select. We offer new Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles in a friendly environment that puts you in the driver's seat. When it comes to service, we maintain factory-trained technicians and competitive pricing. The Capper Auto Group still believes that service after the sale provides the best customer experience. Come see the Capper experience for yourself.
Tammy takes the time and has the personal interest in each one of us. I don't worry about what's going to happen because I know my policy is taken care of.
She pulls what I need and puts it together, which is the program I get from her.
Every year she calls around September or so and says, there's changes again, and I'm going to do the best thing for you. It's been perfect. She does a great job.
And we are back, Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk live, 2 o'clock on Wednesdays, every Wednesday pretty much.
Yep.
And we are on Washington Live's Facebook and YouTube, Mount Pleasant and Fairfield Live Facebook. I got a head start during the break, the 3 of us, on what we're going to talk about next because we watched a little bit of Iowa Wesleyan. I watched a lot of Iowa Wesleyan basketball yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
We were not on location for either game. One was in Indiana and one was at Dordt College up northwest Iowa. Let's talk about the men first because they played yesterday morning. The first game of the NAIA tournament, actually, was yesterday morning. They were the 10 seed. They played against Evangel University in Missouri. I almost forgot who they played against.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the first 5 minutes of that game,
Iowa Wesleyan looked like they were going to run away with it.
I was like, here we go. They're mad because they got that 7 seed. They're going to pound these. Evangel's a good school who makes the tournament all the time.
I was talking to Grant Swanson, who formerly New London player who I think would have played for Iowa Wesleyan this year, but I think he's dealing with an injury. But besides that, he was telling me that Evangel is like in a conference that's like really good, like the conference they play in or something.
Are they in the heart? Are they in the heart of America? I'm going to Google it while we look at this because I'm curious. But Evangel's in the tournament all the time.
Yeah.
They're a good school, and but Mount Pleasant, but Iowa Wesleyan was taking it to them early. They got off. They were up 10. They were up double digits early. They were up 33-28 at halftime. This game, by the way, took place at Indiana Tech, I believe was the
Indiana Tech,
who they would have
Fort
played.
Wayne, Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana. But second half, free throws, couldn't hit them. Evangel was getting some weird offensive rebounds that just kind of seemed to bounce to him, and there was some bad mojo. Let's just say that.
Yeah, because
they didn't get a lot of calls. In fact, they had a bunch of guys in foul trouble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Wesleyan, for as good as they are, they don't play that deep.
No.
To where they can afford 3 guys. Well, they have 3 that had 4 fouls.
Yeah,
third,
3 with 4 fouls.
Early in the second half.
Yeah.
So basically, it was a tough one. They lost 65-58. And so an otherwise awesome year for those guys. 27-3. There's 27-2 coming in. Conference champions. First time in the tournament since 2011. And a little bit of a sour ending.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, obviously they had the high expectations. I know going in they had a chip on the shoulder when when I went to their watch party, and they talked about they were really upset that William Penn, who they beat, and William Penn's rated they got the number 1 seed. They beat William Penn, and then Florida College, who they also got some revenge in the CAC tournament championship.
Yeah, they got the
2 seed, so they were kind of upset about that, but. Well, so a little bit of sour ending.
And if I could, first off, I'll complain about that a little bit, but first let me read the scores here. Jacoby Jones, 12 points. Carver Locke, 11. Carver's their only senior, I believe.
He is.
Joey Brown, 10. Henry Shannon, 10. So they had 4 double-digit scores. Victor Munoz came off the bench for 6. So they were pretty balanced, but the scoring just wasn't there like Iowa Wesleyan scoring has been.
And you look at teams are pretty similar in regards to shooting, field goal shooting. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Iowa Wesleyan 21-47, Evangel 19 for 39. Iowa Wesleyan at 8 3-pointers, Evangel 3.
Yeah, 3
There's
for 15.
What the difference was. The free throws, 8 for 16 for the Tigers, and for the Valor, 24 for 29.
24 for 29. I think didn't I say last week, make more free throws than your opponent attempts?
And they out-rebounded them, had more assists. 1 more turnover, and 6 second chance points.
8 for 16 stuff, and it was just a tough. I mean, it's 8 for 16 stuff, but also 24 for 29. Giving up 24 free throws is that's tough to take.
That's good for them.
And to shoot free throws that early in the morning at a neutral site, give it up for Evangel for that one. Yeah. But I was going to complain. Speaking of the seeds, that Iowa Wesleyan, who was ranked number 23 and only had 2 losses, got a 7 seed, and the team and Evangel was receiving votes in the top 25 poll, so they got a 10 seed, so it was a little bit of a rough. I'm curious to see how Evangel does against Indiana Tech. Indiana Tech rolled the team they were playing in the 2:15 game. But you mentioned William Penn had a tough one. I don't remember how they ended up yesterday.
Well, they
struggled, didn't they?
I think they ended up dominating.
Oh. Well, whatever.
I'm pretty sure.
Either way,
make me look it up.
Either way, it was Evangel's a good team. They killed Missouri Baptist. They killed Harris Stowe. Those are 2 teams that Iowa Wesleyan will see a lot of next year because they're going to be in the American Midwest Conference next year. They killed Science and Arts, who's a tournament team. Basically, they were a good team. So it was tough situation for the Tigers, but they made it back. They're young, and again, they're in the American Midwest Conference next year. They'll have a lot of consistent, good competition with teams like Columbia, and Missouri Baptist was pretty good this year. So it'll be. I think Wesleyan will jump in and compete for that conference championship, and men's and women's, who we're about to talk about. But.
So William Penn won by 10. So
yes, yeah. I saw it when it was close. And William Penn was a 1 seed, right?
Yep.
So I was like, that's
So that's pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close. Speaking of William Penn, former William Penn women's basketball coach Steve Williamson was making his return to the NAIA tournament. And talk about a team that has, I'll just say this, that so the Continental Athletic Conference, which Iowa Wesleyan is currently in, which is made up of teams from all over the country, they're pretty strong in men's. They got a Wesleyan and Florida College, which are ranked. Women's, they're not as strong. And so Wesleyan dominates women's basketball in the CAC.
Yep.
They hadn't lost. They were for 2 years. They never lost a game. Haskell Indian Nations gave them a couple of tough games. But, Wesleyan rolled those to get into the national tournament, those first 2 games, they were dominating teams. But they got a 15 seed in the tournament. This is the second year that's happened, and they played a GPAC school for the second year. GPAC is a very good women's basketball conference. And that team last night was Dordt University.
Ranked number 4 in the country.
Ranked number 4. So they were ranked high enough to get a 1 seed, but they got a 2 seed.
Yep.
And I was watching that game, and I was like, dude, Dordt University is good. I mean, they were really good. They shot the lights out, it seemed.
Yep.
They were fast. Wesleyan got off to a pretty good start. Last year, Wesleyan played Morningside, and I was watching that game. I was like, Wesleyan could beat these guys, you know. But it didn't happen. 76-63 last night to Dordt, into the road for the Wesleyan women. Did you watch much of this one? I watched the whole game.
I didn't watch a lot of this one.
I watched this because at least one of my kids was crawling all over me asking for snacks and stuff during the entire game. But 18-13 Dordt after 1, 31-24 at halftime. Wesleyan cut it back to, it was 5 late in the third, I believe. And then it was only a 10-point lead. It was 63-43, I believe, at the end of 3 quarters. No, sorry. 53-43. It is a 10-point game, 54-44 maybe. Either way, it was a 10-point game at the end of the third quarter. The fourth quarter starts, and Dordt just went ballistic. Just hit everything. They started on a 10-0 run, and just like that, it was looking
Which is
pretty
kind of
bleak.
crazy because only 6 points separated them in the second half.
Yeah, Wesleyan closed pretty strong. Now Dordt has a ton of players, and so eventually they put in their backups.
yeah.
And Wesleyan only has 8 girls,
Right.
So they couldn't really, and they all play, so they couldn't really do that. But it was Isabel West, who's a junior. She's got another year, 20 points and 11 rebounds. Kyla Moore, who's a senior, a great transfer for them from William Penn. She ended her career 16 points. Macy Kucha, who's a sophomore. She has a couple more years left. She scored 14, including some big threes. She started the game off with a 3. She had a couple of big threes in this one. And actually, were 4 for 7. Kyla Moore was 3 for 6 from downtown. So they shot the ball okay. 9 for 21 from 3-point land. Brianna Windland had 5. Brielle Baker and Megan Teal 3 apiece, and Faith Watkins was 2. And I thought Faith Watkins played pretty good defense. For some reason, Dordt was getting a lot of scramble rebounds, offensive rebounds, and she kind of quelled that for a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, great season for them though.
Yeah,
and they're losing some, some great players. Obviously, you mentioned Kyla Moore, Brianna Wendland, and Brielle Baker, and
which is the core of the team that came over here.
Right, from William Penn too.
Yeah,
and but as you mentioned, they're keeping Isabel West, and she's been nothing but short of phenomenal this season too. Great. So. We'll see what Coach Williamson can bring back to the table this next year.
Oh, I'm sure he's got recruits coming. I mean, there's the future is bright for Iowa Wesleyan basketball.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about that. It was just kind of tough that they got a 15 seed. I don't know. It's not like I watch every NAIA team. I just felt when you told me they got a 15, or when I actually was watching it when you were covering it over at Wesleyan, I was like, there's a big difference between the teams that get the 1 and 2 seeds in NAIA and the teams that get the 3, 4, 5, and whatever. Right. So they're probably good enough to get a higher seed, but again, they'll be in the AMC next year. AMC has teams that are good enough to push them, and that they can maybe play some ranked games in the regular season. And you never know. Maybe we'll be talking about them winning a first-round game this time next year. But that's it for Iowa Wesleyan. Yeah. And guess what? That's it for basketball.
Yeah.
Sad.
Another season gone
by for the Union sports area. So, but we're going to talk about kind of basketball. We're going to talk about something when we come back.
We're going to figure it out.
I'm going to put my coworkers to the test when we come back. That's my teaser for you. 2 minutes. Okay.
Protection is important, especially when you're talking about your dreams, which is why we're going to keep you covered with plans that can save you up to 23% when you bundle your home and auto. That's protection.
Family owned and operated by Andy and Sarah Ross, Ross Auto has been your vehicle repair and maintenance headquarters since 1935. We specialize in all makes of cars and light-duty trucks. With our variety of available services, Let us help you keep rolling and your vehicle operating efficiently. Services include general auto repair, alignments, brakes, fuel injection, and more. Schedule your appointment today at 319-653-5656. That's 319-653-5656.
We are back, Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk Live, and we have a little bit left. We're gonna first off, just because basketball season's over and winter sports season's over, doesn't mean that we're not going to be here. We'll hear every week talk about a little track, soccer, anything. I'll put you to the test immediately. Anything exciting? What are you looking forward to most in spring? That really is putting you to the test because spring brain is off. You like covering soccer better.
No, yeah. I'm looking forward to. When the time comes, Drake relays.
Yeah,
and,
state track.
State track. I love going there.
Those are the best parts of the spring. We have plenty of. I'm gonna miss somebody if I talk about track wise. We have Danielle Hostetler. Obviously, it's her time to shine once again in the Mid Prairie girls. In track, we're coming off of 2 state championships, Mid Prairie girls and New Leonard boys in track. New Leonard boys lost a good amount of seniors. From that, but a
lot of distance guys.
Geez, it's gonna be fun. Will Davidson of Mount Pleasant and Elijah Morris of Washington going at it in the 200. Well, Elijah's could be going for his third straight 400
state title.
There's a lot of fun stuff to talk about with track, and so I'm trying to even think soccer wise.
Lost a lot of great seniors last year.
Yeah,
Mount Pleasant's returning a lot of talent. And, Ellie Manning.
Mount Pleasant girls and Washington girls will. That's been a good rivalry the last few.
That should still be pretty good because they both returned a lot of talent.
That's right. So if we get into that, I'm just gonna forget everybody, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, I missed somebody. But we talked off camera last week. So next week's the NCAA tournament. Next week's show, we're just gonna basically goof off, right?
Yep.
And get ready for the NCAA tournament because it'll be the Wednesday before, and we'll know the bracket. I said that we should do a challenge between the 3 of us, me, Hunter, and Nick. Nick, you can get on. You want to get on camera now?
I want to see. Finally be on camera for this
show. Yeah. They don't let. Well, they tell Nick that he's on camera too much, right?
Yes, that is.
So he doesn't get on camera here, even though. But I overrode that and said that he should get a camera out. I want to do something for the NCAA tournament. We don't have to decide it today. My challenge last week, which was wholeheartedly rejected by both, was I said that we each make a bracket. We'd keep track of it, maybe put it on the wall or something like that for the weeks. And then whoever got last would have to do a minute of karaoke on the show.
See, I'm not singing.
I notoriously do not sing.
And they said no to that. And
also, as a producer, the copyright issue is my biggest concern.
Well, what if we only did
copyright-free music?
What are the copyright-free songs?
The national anthem.
The national anthem. What about the Beatles? That was a long time ago.
I don't think it's long. I think it has to be 1920s. I think it's 100 years.
One day when we're not getting good ratings, we should do a test where we just start singing and then just see if YouTube gets us for it. Anyway, I said that we should have 4 songs and that we put one in each region, and the loser has to sing whichever one comes out of that region. You know, but that was rejected. So does anybody have any ideas? Hunter, you got any ideas?
How about hop in the comment section if you're watching the show and tell us what we should do.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Or the replies, our Twitter at Union Sports
page. And then
page.
we'll tweet something and say, just to remind. Maybe you could throw a poll up or something. I don't know.
I'm giving myself more work here, but I wonder, should I go on ESPN and create us a group for friends of the show to get in our bracket challenge? Because I do mine on ESPN usually.
I do mine on ESPN too.
Same. So it could get the audience involved.
How depressing would it be though if we did that and then only 2 people did it? It was like, oh wow.
We're talking to we got, I don't know, 8,000 viewers or something.
I'd probably just do everyone's gonna come flocking. So I don't know. Maybe we're gonna think about this.
We'll get back to you next week.
I want something important to be on the line, but we'll see. I kind of am what's a good way to say it? I like to gamble.
Yeah,
I like for stuff to be on the line. I like for stuff to be on the line.
Even if
makes it more interesting.
Even if you end up doing it, it'll be. I mean, I'll be sitting here laughing, but
I think you just really want to do karaoke live.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. Actually, there's on the probably deep in the dark web. There is a video of me singing at like my college's Trojan Idol or American Idol knockoff show. I didn't
Trojan
go through.
Idol?
It's called Trojan. Well, Hannibal LaGrange Trojan. Oh, hey, Hannibal LaGrange Trojans. I'm representing. I can't wear this anymore after next year because Hannibal LaGrange is in the American Midwest Conference, so I'd be supporting a future iOS rival.
Yep.
Well.
Happen.
Anyway, so we're gonna figure out something to do for the tournament. We'll have a whole show to talk about it next week.
Yeah.
And then we'll put something on the line so it can be fun. So we'll have something to track along with. Because right now it's just indoor track season.
Yep.
Like it's not golf, soccer, or what's the other one? Tennis season yet.
Yep.
So
Maybe we could do a poll on once we get ideas, do a poll on you guys' Twitter page.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
I like the poll.
Maybe we by next Monday I'll put out a poll. Monday or Tuesday I'll put out a poll, and maybe and the poll will end on our show. And we'll decide what the.
It's got to be done
is.
by the 2:00 show on whatever day.
Yeah, it could be just like the losers buys lunch.
See, I was thinking that, but
maybe that's just not hungry because I didn't have lunch. All right, well, we're gonna think about it. If you're watching this, give us an idea. Especially, give us an idea if you're watching this.
Yeah. Give something
we want nobody to not participate because if we don't get any ideas, then it's going to hurt our feelings that you guys aren't watching.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It'd be sad, huh?
Yeah, I know there has to be at least Winfield, New London fans because they tuned in today to watch the show. They knew they were going to get talked about.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I think we're done with the show. So, next week, can we say NCAA tournament special or they get us in trouble from the NCAA?
That's fine.
NCAA special. I was gonna start doing the that might get us in trouble. And we will be here talking about that and having fun. So don't skip out on this just as high school sports are over for a while. Yeah. All right. We'll see you.
Yeah.